Today we're going to talk about some tragic Major League careers. We're going to focus our attention on Hall of Fame players or likely Hall of Fame players who were unable to take their team to the postseason despite being some of the best players in the world. So this all started when I decided to rewatch Rookie of the Year. Like most kids growing up in the 90s, Rookie of the Year was an amazing movie that I wanted to replicate. But after rewatching it, I need to talk about how there's no single player in baseball that is able to make a bad team into a good team. So the background of Rookie of the Year is the Chicago Cubs, a team famously known for their ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, suddenly become division champions, and thanks to their secret weapon, a 12-year-old closer who can throw 103 miles per hour. I wanted to pull some stats, but obviously this is a movie, so I couldn't get great stats on him. But in the movie, we see him throw 12 strikeouts, including against Bobby Bonilla, Pedro Guerrero, and Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is wearing his Pirates jersey despite being a Giant in 1993, and Pedro Guerrero actually retired in 1993. In the movie, we see him collect at least 9 saves. And this all happened in a maximum of 45 games. His season started on August 11th, and the Major League Baseball season ends on September 30th. So that means the team made up 20 games in standings by only adding a closer in 45 games. And I came to this 20 game back number because after his second save, the announcer says that it's the first time the Cubs had won back-to-back games all season. And at best, that means that they were 57-57, just like the real 1993 Cubs, who were 20 games back behind the first place Philadelphia Phillies. Alright, so since Henry Cub player, let's talk about Mr. Cub himself, Ernie Banks. His positivity was more contagious than the common cold in winter. His catchphrase, "Let's play two," was not only a testament to his love for the game, but a stark reminder of the gut-wrenching irony of his career. Here was a man who loved to play the game so much that he wanted to play 2 games every day, but he never got to play those extra special games in October. Banks was like a lighthouse in the fog of a disappointing Cubs era, always shining, always hopeful. He spent 19 years batting baseballs out of the park, while the rest of the team seemed to be playing a different sport entirely. Despite being an all-star in most of those seasons, the Cubs during his tenure were about as close to the postseason appearance as a fish is to riding a bicycle. Like I said, he appeared in 0 playoff games. He is a Hall of Famer like most of the people we're going to be talking about today. He won the MVP twice, and also got a Gold Glove. He was a 14-time All-Star across those 19 seasons, racking up 62.4 WAR, good enough for 88th all-time. He also belted out 512 home runs, good for 23rd all-time. Alright, so let's glide over to Ted Williams, a man who was so adept at hitting, you'd think that he had magnets in his bat. Seriously, he could have probably hit home runs blindfolded standing on one leg during a snowstorm. Williams was so good, he didn't need to see the ball. He was on a first-name basis with it. Yet, despite his legendary prowess, the Red Sox made it to the World Series only once during his very long career. And of course, they lost it. But on the bright side, they did get some nice group photos for their scrapbook. Perhaps they could have used the runner-up trophy as a fancy paperweight. Which, by the way, you can see both that scrapbook and the paperweight at Fenway, if you ever want to do the Fenway tour. So he had 7 playoff games, all in the same year, including the year where the Red Sox lost the World Series. He is a Hall of Fame player and a 2-time MVP like Ernie Banks. He also won the Triple Crown twice and was a 19-time All-Star. He led the league in batting percentage 6 times and had a career on-base percentage of .482. That means that he was close to a coin flip chance of getting on base every time he stepped into the batter's box. He added a 103.7 win probability, which is essentially adding a World Series team worth of wins to his career. And he was also the last player to hit 400, a feat that has been sniffed a couple of times but not even close to have been replicated. since Henry was a pitcher, let's step onto the mound with one of my personal heroes, Nolan Ryan, the strikeout king with a missing crown. This man racked up more strikeouts than I've racked up regrettable Amazon purchases. Seriously, if strikeouts were dollar bills, Ryan could have probably single-handedly funded a small country's economy. Yet, despite his personal record book looking like a who's who of pitching excellence, his teams often stumbled more than a toddler in a bouncy castle. This goes to show you that you can't simply fastball your way to victory like Henry does in the movie. Nolan appeared in 6 playoff games, including 1 World Series. He did not appear in anything after his 3rd season, and in that World Series, he was mostly a reliever, despite being a starter for the majority of his career. Nolan Ryan is a Hall of Famer just like everyone else, and an 8-time All-Star. He won the ERA twice, and had 5,714 strikeouts, a record that will never be sniffed, and it was good enough for 1st overall. He threw 7 no-hitters, which is number 1 overall, with Sandy Koufax being 2nd at 4, so that means he was almost twice as many as Sandy Koufax. He allowed a batting average of .204, which is the best Major League Baseball has ever seen, again, by a healthy margin. Let's shift our spotlight to Felix Hernandez, affectionately dubbed King Felix. Here's a man who redefined the term one-man band in a baseball context. He was like the lead singer, guitarist, and drummer all in one, but the rest of the band just couldn't keep up with his rhythm. Throughout his illustrious career, the Mariners didn't just flirt with the postseason, they didn't even get its phone number. Nada. Zilch. But hey, who needs the thrill of a postseason chase when you've got a Signy Set, Young Award on your mantle, and a perfect game in your resume? He appeared in 0 postseason games. He is likely a Hall of Famer, but he won't be eligible until 2025. He's a 6-time All-Star with his Cy Young trophy, and of course, he was perfect on August 15, 2012, showing that a pitcher can actually lead you to exactly 1 win. He threw 8.3 strikeouts out of every 9 innings, which is good enough for 60th overall and is a very amazing pace. And he threw 2,524 strikeouts, good enough for 37th overall. If his career had had the longevity of Nolan Ryan, he probably would have hit that 5,000 mark. At last, we land at the dynamic duo of the Angels, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Between the two, they've accumulated enough MVP trophies to start a small museum. They probably use these hunks of metal as a constant reminder of personal success amidst team droughts. It's akin to winning the lottery, but you can only spend it at a store that's going out of business. They had 3 postseason wins, all of which were early in Mike Trout's career while Ohtani was still playing in Japan. They have 4 MVPs between the two of them, Trout with 3 and Ohtani winning 2 years ago and getting 2nd last year. Combined, they have appeared in the All-Star Game 12 times, Ohtani twice, Trout 10 times. And they have 10 Silver Sluggers between the two, Trout with 9 and Ohtani, a pitcher, getting 1 as a designated hitter. And they've also both won the Rookie of the Year for their respective years. So, as we have learned, the cruel hard truth about baseball is that one player, even 2 players, no matter how extraordinary, cannot carry a team to victory, unless you're in a 90s family movie. But hey, who knows, maybe you'll see it happen. Thanks for sticking around for my baseball-themed therapy session.